What's up, guys? Still Straight Fire Running here, and welcome back to another YouTube video. This will be the first video of a 5-part series documenting the U.S. Championships. These championships are starting tomorrow. It's a 4-day meet, so super exciting time in our sport. And this is to see who qualifies for the 2025 World Championships, which will be held in September, all the way in Tokyo, Japan. So basically, for the most part, the top 3 finishers in each event are going to qualify for the World Championships in Japan. So lots of stuff on the line here as athletes are gearing up for these races. And yeah, just a super exciting time overall. So I'm excited to get into it with you guys. All right, so the key events that are going to go down on day 1 of the championships are the men's and women's 800, round 1, round 1 of the men's and women's 100, round 1 of the men's and women's 3,000 meter steeplechase, round 1 of the men's and women's 1,500 meters, and ending the night on a bang with the finals of the men's and women's 10,000 meters. All right, so starting things off out of these events will be the 800 meters. And in this, the top 6 fastest in each heat plus the next 3 fastest times overall will qualify for the semis. So with kind of leeway like that, not expecting to see too much drama go down in the first heat of the men's or women's 800. But just a couple people to shout out, to look out for. Heat 1 of the men's 800, we see Bryce Hoppel. He has the world standard. Also, Colin Solomon and Isaiah Harris, 2 heavy hitters to look out for. Heat 2, we see Abraham Alvarado, Isaiah Jewett, Brandon Miller, and Tanoda Matata. Out of these people, Alvarado and Miller both have the world standard. Heat 3, we see Patrick Tuohy, as well as Josh and Jonah Hoey. Josh Hoey is obviously on a tear recently and has the world standard. He's the only one in that heat who has it. And in Heat 4, we have Donovan Brazier, Shane Cohen, former NCAA champion, Brandon Kidder, and Craig Engels. So also important to note out of these, Donovan Brazier is the only one with the world standard. And also interested to see how Engels holds up in the 800. He's also entered in the 1,500, which is later that day. So very interested to see which one he focuses on. Moving on to the women. In Heat 1, we see 3 people with the world standard: Raven Rogers, Addison Wiley, and Megan Hunter. Heat 2, we have 2 people with the standard: Michaela Rose, Aji Wilson, but we also have Athene Mo in that heat. Obviously, Mo's been through a lot of injuries recently, but finally seems like she's starting to get into her old self. She ran a really good 1,500 earlier this year, and she's definitely someone to look out for in the women's 800. Moving on to Heat 3, we see Sage Hurta-Klecker and Juliet Whitaker, both with the world standard. And Heat 4, we see Rosen Willis, Nia Atkins, and Maggie Congdon, all with the world standard. So tons of women with the world standard in the 800 meters, so it should be really interesting to see who comes away, but not expecting any of these heavy hitters to not make it into the semis. All right, so next up we have the men's and women's 100 meter round 1. And in the 100 meter, just like the 800, they'll have the 6 fastest times in each heat, as well as the next 3 fastest times overall qualifying. So once again, not expecting to see too much drama. Any of the heavy hitters get cut from the future events in these, but yeah, the women's 100 is absolutely stacked. We have 5 women in each heat with the World Championship standard. In Heat 1, we see Sha'Carri Richardson. She's off and on, but also always someone to look out for. And in Heat 2, we have Gabby Thomas, also someone very important to look out for. The men's 100 also loaded, not as many men with the world standard as the females. In Heat 1, we see Trayvon Bromell with the world championship standard. Heat 2, we see Kenny Bednarek with the world standard. Heat 3, Noah Lyles, world standard. Obviously, he's the reigning world champion. And Heat 4, we have 3 people with the standard, one of which is Christian Coleman, coming back after his drug ban. So it's going to be really interesting to see how these heats turn out, but not expecting to see anything too dramatic happen. All right, so moving into the steeplechase. So in this event, the fastest 5 in each heat, and then the next 4 fastest times overall will qualify to the finals. Heat 1 of the women's steeplechase has 3 women who have gone sub 9:10: Kaylee Mitchell, Lexi Halliday Lowry, and Val Constein. We also have Ali Ostrander in that heat, who are 4 very solid steeplechasers, as well as others, obviously. Heat 2, we see Gabrielle Jennings, Courtney Waymont, who competed at the Olympics last year, and Olivia Marquezich. We also have Angelina Napoleon, NC State runner who recently ran 9:10, super fast, and Christian Gear. So yeah, once again, a lot of very fast women in Heat 2. Moving on to the men, in Heat 1, we have Isaac Updike, Nathan Mountain, and Matthew Wilkinson, all with the world standard. So hopefully all 3 of those athletes can make it through to the finals. We also have Evan Jager, Joey Barriatua, Anthony Rodich, just 3 more athletes to look out for in Heat 1. Moving on into Heat 2, we have Duncan Hamilton and Kenneth Rooks going back to the NCAA days. They had their rivalry, so it'll be very interesting to see how they continue that rivalry going forward. They both have the world standard, as well as James Corrigan, obviously NCAA champion last year. He's been running incredibly well recently in the steeplechase. Also have Daniel Mikowski in Heat 2, and a 3-punch of UVA affiliated runners, Yassine Sato, Derek Johnson, and newly UVA student Brett Gardner. So interesting to see if these 3 athletes use any team tactics in the prelims, and if they all qualify to the finals, what they'll do there. All right, so next up we have the 1500s. And in the 1500s, the top 3 plus the next 3 fastest will qualify to the semifinals. In Heat 1 of the women's 1500, we see Nikki Hiltz with the standard. We also have Anna Camp Bennett and Lori Baton, who have run under 4:05, very impressive times. In Heat 2, we have Helen Schladenhausen, Sinclair Johnson with the World Championship standard. Obviously, Sinclair Johnson coming off an insane performance in the mile, setting the American record in that at the London Diamond League. So going to be very interesting to see those 2 go head-to-head, try to compete for those top 3 spots in that heat. We also have Christina Aragon and Gracie Morris in that heat, who've gone under 4:05, and Tegan Becker, another woman for the Brooks Beast, who I see could, as being someone who could definitely qualify for that final. In Heat 3, we have Heather McLean and Emily Mackey, both with the standard. We also have Danny Jones, who's gone 4 flat, very impressive time, and Rachel MacArthur and Margot Appleton, both around that 4:05 range, and could definitely sneak into the finals. Moving on to the men, in Heat 1, we have Jonah Koech and Hobbs Kessler, both with the World Championship standard. We also have a battle of 3 recent NCAA graduates, Ethan Strand, Abel Tefra, and Wes Porter. Obviously, Strand is a NCAA champion, as well as Tefra, and Wes Porter always seems to come in clutch at this time of year at USA's. Heat 2, Cole Hawker, former reigning Olympic champion, is the only one with the World Championship standard. But we also have that three punch of former Washington athletes with Nathan Green, Joe Wascom, and Sam Prakel, as well as Eric Holt in that field, newly professional runner for Puma. Lastly, we have Heat 3, Yared Nuguse and Vince Ciotti with the World Championship standard. Both of those should qualify for the finals. Ciotti, very underrated runner, obviously everyone knows Nuguse. And once again, another 3 NCAA or recent NCAA graduates of Liam Murphy, Gary Martin, and Luke Hauser, looking to continue their NCAA rivalry on the professional stage. Although Martin is still competing for Virginia, the other 2 are now pro. So it should be interesting 1,500 heats. All right, so moving on to the premier event of the night, which will be the 10,000 meters, as it is a straight final. All the attention is going to be focused on this one event, so super exciting way to end day one. On the women's side, expecting it to be a battle between the top 3 runners in that field: Elise Cranny, Carissa Schweizer, and Wayne Kaladi. And obviously the top 3 will qualify for the World Championship standards. So those 3 would be my predictions, but there could also be some other athletes sneak in there. We see Emily Enfield in that field, Vanessa Frazier, Kira D'Amato stepping down from the marathon distance. She's been training really well out in Utah, so it would be really nice to see her step on the track and have a great race there. And also Ellie Hennis, former NC State runner, all of which are athletes who could definitely squeeze into that top 3 and do something a little bit unexpected. Moving on to the men, this is probably the highlight of the night. We'll see 4 athletes with the standard battling it out for that top 3 position. Graham Blanks, Grant Fisher, Woody Kincaid, and Nico Young, all of which have run incredibly fast, under 27 minutes. We also have Ahmed Muhammad in that field, Hoka NAZ Elite runner who's run 27:03, barely missing that standard, as well as Casey Klinger, who ran 27:11 this year and recently turned pro. So those are 2 other athletes that could very well sneak into that top 3. So really interesting to see 6 athletes up there, all of which who could very well make that top 3 and qualify for the World Championships in Japan.